Hello and welcome to the thankfully final part of the Bonanza build. On this episode, we're going to finish up the welding because like I mentioned in the previous episode, my welder has crapped the bed, so I had to buy a new one. Then we can move on to the cosmetics, getting those finished, and then we can do the final assembly. And by the end of this, we'll have a complete mini bike. Went ahead and did it off camera because it was trial and error to make sure it was even going to work, but footrests are welded in, tank mount is welded, and then the exhaust bracket at the back. I cut off the old one and put on a new one. So all the welding is now done. That means I can finally start doing body working stuff. The frame's prepped. I hit it with 80, 180, 220, and now I'm just gonna treat. There's a couple spots where it seems it got taken to bare metal before they put white primer on, and there's a couple spots where like it had surface rust. First I'm gonna hit with rust neutralizing paint. Then from there, once it has time to cure, I'll do primer, which we're just using black primer because it'll work well with the base color we're gonna go with. The paint has had about 24 hours to cure, so now it's time to prime. Everything's been wiped down and heated up so that the paint actually sticks because it is fairly cold. We're using just standard primer, probably 2 coats, maybe 3 depending on how it lays on. And also once I do my initial sanding, we'll decide if we need to do another coat on top of that. Some updates. I got the powder coat stuff back. The color isn't exactly what I was hoping. I was kind of going for a bronze metallic, but this is more of like a root beer, which isn't the end of the world. I hope it works with the main color. This is the complementary color. The main color is also fairly bold, and in theory, these should be complementary to one another, but you never know. The tires finally came in, which these are Hoosier dirt track tires. They are 11 by 5.5 by 6, whereas the ones I have are 13 by 5 by 6. So I was thinking it was meant for a rim that's ½ an inch wider, but those are clearly not the same at all. But in any case, this doesn't even fit within the frame, so there's zero chance of making that work. Since I kind of custom ordered them, they're gonna sit on the shelf until I have another project for them, which sucks because I do like it. It would have looked awesome, but finding a real tire in a mini bike size is damn near impossible as far as I can tell, unless they want just a slick, which I do not. I'll get this stuff out of the way, get the valve cover off, and then we will be done with the engine, which is great. Finally have all the pieces to put the tires together. The biggest issue was finding bolts that were long enough to go through all of the whole rear wheel and also be long enough to incorporate the new spacers. So originally this was just laying on the spokes itself, so it only had maybe 1/4 inch of rise, but the result of that, as you know, was the chain hitting the tire. This tire now sticks out more, and also the wheel just kind of didn't align right in the rear of the frame. I think these are 1 inch spacers that are going to go there, which will then sit it up now 3/4 of an inch higher than it was previously. What I did though is a bunch of these pieces of metal are just bare, and I didn't want to paint them and I didn't want to powder coat them for different reasons. So I tried bluing them, which is, you know, birchwood bluing. It kind of worked for materials that had some sort of coating on previously. It didn't work nearly as well, but the bare steel worked the best. So obviously, because there's no other coatings to work with. I got the fenders back from sandblasting, got them primed. I need to sand the last of it, and then we're ready for paint. I'm trying to do the paint last though, because one, it takes a lot of prep to set up, and also it makes a mess. Good enough. Got to tighten it up evenly so that it doesn't do that thing it did before where the sprocket and brake drum were at a weird angle. You can kind of, now that I know what to look for, you can kind of see the gap around the center hub, and I'm sure that was misaligned last time. So I got to, you know, start tightening in a sequence that keeps that even. You can kind of see why I bothered to powder coat the drum. It's because you'll actually see it now. The only other thing I didn't talk about, I was using just standard industrial roller chain, nothing special. It was just kind of a proof of concept. So I bought a nicer gold chain, and it's this Edgelord brand. So kind of sucks because I bought these individually. I didn't realize that when you buy one, it's like 3 links too short for what I needed. So I paid double in shipping, but whatever. So at some point, you'll just see the nicer chain on there, and that's the brand. Extreme Edgelord. Apologize for the shake cam. I'm just gonna give you an update real quick and then get back to work. So components are all sanded, and degreased. And then I just gotta do one more tack cloth before I actually start laying on color. We're just gonna get it. I'm not gonna film doing the painting because that would require kind of just having another person here, and also opening up doors to the house, which then let the fumes into the house. So that's not ideal. So I'm just gonna do the work and then we'll pick back up when it's time to start assembly. We are in the final stretch and I am really excited. This is the moment it comes all together and you get the motivation to finish it up. The color I went with, I know I've been vague about it, but it's a Porsche color. It's called Amethyst Metallic, I believe. It's basically like a really dark metallic purple. In regular light, it just looks black. It's not gonna show it as well as it would in sun, you know, changes color quite a bit. So I got the forks, I'm gonna go ahead and grease them up. They've been powder coated black except for the upper bit. Just gonna move that up. Super exciting. Probably should have just done a time lapse. That works for me. I'm not sure what happened, but the camera pieced out during that. So I got the highway pegs installed. They're just like the Harley foot pegs, got them in pretty easy. The tolerances were a little too tight, like I had to sand the powder coat off that one to get it to actually drop into place. Now the game of let's see if I can scratch the shit out of the paint. I'm gonna go ahead and make an insulator for the rear. I may make insulators for the front too. That paint really needs to be cut and buffed, but that's fine, we can do that later. For the insulators, I just cut little strips out of that nitrile, the same stuff I used for the gas cap, and we're just gonna put them between the frame and the thing that they bolt into. We put that on there. And doesn't touch anything, which is perfect. Not sure what's going on with the rear alignment. It all bolted in previously and now it doesn't. So yeah, I'll mess with that some more and then we can get the engine in. And the catch can breather goes in there. I'm obviously gonna have to run, you know, all these cables in a way where they're out of the way. And the last thing to go on is the chain guard. Wow, okay. Good enough for me. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I'm very happy with the end result. There's a decent amount of things I still need to do, such as the brown that is supposed to be bronze. I don't like. The color combination didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So at some point in the future, I'm gonna take the brown parts off and have them re-powder coated, probably like a dark gray metallic. As far as the bike goes, it runs as it should, obviously because it's a good engine and I just finished building it. I also decided I didn't like the red, so like the rear sprocket is gonna be replaced with a black one because it just doesn't look right. I did also add a tiny tack. You can't really see it there on the fork. There was already holes there, so I just mounted it there, and that gives me tack and also a hour meter so I can maintain it regularly. You'll obviously see this again, not in its own video, but it's gonna be around because this is my personal bike and I'm not getting rid of it, especially considering how much I've sunk into it, which I'm not even gonna tell you how much that is because it is quite a lot. If you remember what we started with, I think this thing has officially evolved past the name of Nugget. I don't think it qualifies as that anymore. I don't know what to call it anymore. And I can safely say I don't want to do any sort of restoration project anytime soon, despite the fact that the Benelli is in 8,000 pieces and it needs to be done. So yeah, I don't know where that's gonna go. So yeah, with all that being said, thanks for watching and stay tuned. Oh, a spider. Hello, friend. Oh, where are you going? Insulators, I just cut, okay. Yep, just throw it on the floor, that's fine. Fuck you, stop scratching my paint. I don't remember how this goes together. Get my way, asshole. Me. Fuck your face, seriously. Okay, try this a 9th millionth time. Metallic dark gray or something, that bearing just straight popped out. Perfect, that's not sketchy.